This is so exciting. I was begging Ken to join us all weekend long, and I'm happy he decided to.
Yeah. Cool. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to Days of the Dead.
Well, you guys should have gone.
Very nice.
Okay, so opening this up, since we have both of you here, I would love to know about your experiences working on Devil's Rejects.
Well, let's start with Ken.
Oh, not that you need a mic.
My experiences?
Yes.
Which one? Is it,
How about, boss, I got a chicken fucker.
oh, man. Chicken racing, yes. Yeah, it was, Bill, we didn't foresight, and put my fingers out of in the car door, and they kept pulling it. Method actor, and I said, pull it in because I'll kill you. So. No, at the time, it was a great shoot. I think all of us could agree that if we stopped for a couple of weeks, took a couple of weeks off, we'd love to come back, and that's actors and crew, we'd love to come back and start working again. Is that your experience?
Shoot it again.
The
The camaraderie, yeah.
camaraderie, start keep working.
Yeah, keep working is good.
Yeah.
I mean, we did it in 30 days.
Yeah, we did.
That's why, I don't know if y'all have seen the, thank you. I don't know if y'all have seen the DVD extra 30 Days in Hell. It's kind of like a documentary of the making of the movie. But I don't know if I would want to do it all over.
I think that's great.
Well, yeah.
Peter was great.
That is great.
Great.
That is so important.
You know, and you remember Sid got sick from smoking that
From
catnip or something?
Yeah.
You know, his catnip, he got sick with bring the oxygen.
Yeah, bring some oxygen.
Yeah, Lord.
Yeah, right.
And when Tutti Frutti.
Yeah, Tutti fucking fruity. Yeah.
Let's
You know,
throw that in
I
there.
got injured though. I got injured.
Oh, yes.
Because I got injured. There's a scene where we're at your place.
Yes, of course.
We're at Charlie's, and I get thrown out the window by Diamond Dallas Page, and then he comes outside, and I'm on all fours, and he comes outside and kicks me in the ribs, and I'm thinking, this guy's WWE or whatever that is, probably knows how to do that in a way that looks real, but it doesn't fucking hurt. And instead, he kicked me, and it was like, and it bruised my ribs. And then Kane Hodder was our stunt double. And I said, fuck, man. And he comes over and says, oh, sorry, man. And he comes over and he gives me a pad to stick in my ribs there. And he might as well have given me like a tuba flipper or like a piece of plywood. Because now I got this plywood against my bruised rib. And now we're doing a second take, and now Diamond Dallas Page thinks, oh, well, he's got a pad, so I'm really kicking. And it hurt.
I remember that. I was standing there watching on the side.
Yeah. You were laughing.
It was like,
An asshole.
He's trying to be diplomatic, but he said, and nobody paid attention to him. Gave it, and the pad wasn't a great pad.
No, it was like
he
a
had
stiff
several of
pad.
them.
It
He
was
was
stiff, yeah.
trying to match with several, and he gave you one pad, and there you were again, and he was pissed the entire night. He had that face.
So he looked like Otis.
He looked exactly like Otis. It really was a character.
That was kind of method acting I don't really like.
Yeah.
I feel some pain.
Yeah, I think it pull that back a little bit.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
It's strange that he didn't, as a wrestler. He didn't do that.
Well, he was an actor, not a wrestler.
Yeah, but he was still had other wrestling training. Unless he hurt people, like when some of the wrestlers really hurt each other, you hear about the breaking ribs and breaking noses, and all that kind of stuff. I guess.
Yeah,
Well, I guess you won't. Any more questions? I guess.
So many questions. So let's actually, before I continue on, throw it out to the audience to see if they have any questions. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question coming. I didn't have a question prepared. I feel so bad. I'll
It's okay, I like to hear Bill talk.
Maybe and also some questions can apply to both.
Yeah. So,
And yes, I am wearing my Otis socks, by the way.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah. Well, not double changes. House does. Okay. Yes, what is that?
So I was wondering, since Otis is such a ruthless character, and you're such a nice guy in your life, were any scenes uncomfortable for you to film, or were you just kind of like, I'll do anything?
You know, you're assuming I'm like this all the time. Which is always the case. What's the difference between being like a nice guy and being Otis?
Yeah, were there any scenes
It's called acting.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. It just, for me, it's been very easy to channel Otis for some reason. I think that's really what it comes down to. It just comes down to being a character, reading the script a bunch of times, understanding what Otis is, and you know, it's just, I guess that's, I don't know, what is that? Is that luck? Is that talent? Is that intrinsic evilness? Like, am I tapping the inner Otis that we all have? Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, because you know, it's so funny. I like to say I'm not a method actor, so I wasn't in Otis the whole time. Like when they said cut, I would pop up like a piece of toast from the toaster, and I would tell jokes. I would crack. I would just say something funny or something. And Rob actually had to chide me a bit because there were some people that were like, you know, staying in their character, doing that method actor thing, and they were a little, you know, put off by my, you know, hey, you know, did you hear about the guy who evaporated? He will be missed. Stuff like that, little jokes like that. You don't know really like that. But you know, I gotta say, during the time I was Otis, I tried not to bring it home. I have 2 daughters, but their rooms were incredibly clean during that time. I gotta say, a little like maybe I brought home a little bit. Yeah, well, there you go. You know, young girls, but they actually turned out okay. So, but they are horror movie fans, so I'm very proud of them.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
No. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
What is each of your favorite memories, filming or otherwise, with the late Sid Haig?
Sorry?
Sid memory.
Sid memory?
Fondest Sid memory.
Oh, gee.
So many.
Sid.
Yeah. And we love Sid.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Did either of you know Sid before you shot the movie?
Yes, I did. Yes, I met him in Orlando. World Cup or something like that. Big crowd. So, yeah. Sid.
Yeah, we love Sid.
Wait. This is funny. This is
So much
funny.
to say about Sid.
We were doing it. He's from Fresno. And we went up to Fresno to do this convention. And they come over, it was no longer come over. Scoundrel with money. And so we were all getting kicked out of our rooms and that kind of thing. And we had our rooms, but other people were getting kicked out of their rooms. And so Sid came in and quickly began to say, see these eyeballs? You don't want them on you anymore. Have my fucking money here today. You know, and so it was classic Sid Haig, because it was, you know, we went to his, took me down to a restaurant, and he says, you know, you want this sandwich because it's a medium. So Sid said, you want this sandwich? It's a great sandwich. It's what we Armenians eat all the time. It's the greatest thing. I said, okay, man, it sounds wonderful, man. We're gonna go over and have this meal, and I don't know that much about Armenian food. This sounds familiar. I've had different foods from around the world, so this could be good. Let's try it. This is meat, hamburger, meat, raw, you know, in a bun. It was falling apart. I bit into it. I said, this is raw meat. Isn't it great? I said, no, it's not great. So I remember sitting for the comedy. I mean, he was funny. He was a funny guy when he wanted to be. And he loved to laugh, and he was,
And party.
and party, and he was a gentleman.
Yeah.
He was a gentleman.
And I remember we were together, we were in Paris, and we were there to do we were in Germany for a signing, and then we came to Paris, and we were at a toy store in Paris, and we were hanging out for a couple of days, and the people, when we were did an appearance at a toy store, and they had some translators, sort of for the French and the English, and so they said, would you like to do something in Paris? And so we were going to be there for a couple of days, and we both wanted to go to the cemetery called Père Lachaise, and because that's where Jim Morrison is buried. That's like Chopin, or one of those guys. Chopin. One of the famous composer. So it's a famous old Paris cemetery. And so we show up, and there the husband and wife who are the translators at the toy store, and they have this other guy with them, who apparently had worked at the cemetery before. He was, he knew the place inside and out, and he was going to show us all these different things. So the five of us walk around, we see Jim Morrison's grave and all this other stuff. And when we were, and then we thanked everybody, took a bunch of pictures, with this goth guy and the couple. And when we got back to the States, Sid's wife, Susie, was looking at the pictures and recognized this goth guy who had been part of the cemetery tour. And it turns out his name was Nico Cloud. And Nico had recently apparently then just gotten out of jail. And he had been incarcerated for what is it called when you necrophilia? He apparently had worked there and also, had eaten a few of the bodies he was preparing for their burial or something, and taken up a few parts home and put them in the freezer. And so they don't like that in Paris, and so they put him in jail, but just for a little while. And now we're now Facebook friends. So that was one of part of the many adventures of me and Sid.
I saw you guys when you arrived in London.
Right.
And I've never seen two guys look as haggard.
That's from Ula.
Yes.
There seems to be a pretty big difference in my mind between Otis in Devils and Otis in House of a Thousand Corpses. Which one do you prefer?
Yes, no, I get it. I never really figured out Otis in the House of a Thousand Corpses, really until about 6 weeks after we had finished shooting. And that was pretty close. I gotta give myself credit. But it wasn't until we did, at about 6 weeks, maybe 2 months after we finished shooting House of a Thousand Corpses, Rob wanted to add a few more scenes because we were running a little short. And so we went over to Wayne Toth, the makeup man's studio, and in black and white we shot the Run Rabbit Run scene. And that's where Otis is there going, hunting humans, doesn't run scared little rabbits, run rabbit, run rabbit. It's crazy. And that was where it was like, oh, that's Otis. Okay. So that was very cool. So it shows you sometimes an actor will act the thing, and then afterwards kind of go, oh shit, that's great. But anyway, I was over at Rob's house probably 2005, and it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm at Rob's house in Los Angeles, watching the Super Bowl, and he says, we're about to we're going to do another one. And I'm like, oh, that's great. He said, yeah, and but this time I want you to grow a beard. And I said, what? I've never grown a beard before. And I said, what? I said, grow a beard. I said, how do you grow a beard? He goes, stop shaving. Yeah. did was I still had the paper plate on it because he wanted a new look for Otis, and so I said, you gotta give me an illustration of it. So he drew a picture of what looked like one of the Allman Brothers. And I thought that's when I thought Rob was a great filmmaker for House of a Thousand Corpses, but come Devil's Rejects, that's when I thought the guy was a genius. Because most horror sequels, if you haven't already noticed, are kind of like rehashes of the original. You just want to make the money, it's a smash hit, so if you can get half the money, isn't that great, because the fans will eat it up. And, there's kind of a cynical, sometimes, attitude about sequels. But with Rob, it's like, it was such a complete and profound change. Otis is no longer an albino, now I'm like, an Allman Brother, I got a beard, I'm shirtless, and sandy haired, and in Devil's Rejects, Captain Spaulding starts out in makeup, but for the most movie, he is not in makeup. Sherry only does her once, so we're all completely different. And I thought that was amazing. I thought it was, you go from House of a Thousand Corpses, kind of an old dark house, classic horror movie, to now we're like violent crime road picture. It's almost like a different genre altogether. And I just thought that was fucking cool. So anyway.
Yeah. That was a different movie.
Different movie.
Yeah.
So, and which one did I like? I like all three. I love Three from Hell.
Yeah.
I love Devil's Rejects. I love House of a Thousand Corpses. All for different reasons. It's kind of like, when a parent is asked, which is your favorite child? And all your kids are standing right there. Waiting for the answer. No, I love them all. But, I Devil's Rejects.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys each have a favorite scene from Devil's Rejects to film, or just favorite scene in general?
That's some terrible seasoning work.
You're talking to Big Joe Grizzly, by the way, so be careful.
I don't know if I have a favorite scene in that. All of them are so interesting. Probably after the chicken scene. After the chicken scene, not the chicken scene. After the chicken scene. This is funny. I don't know if you saw this. Okay, but we drive the car, the convertible, which had no brakes. So we're driving the car back to my frontier town, and Michael is married and is still going on about the chicken fucking. And I'm still telling him, shut the fuck up, we'll finish with that, all right? And so we get out of the car, Michael goes in, I get out, and I start, this is the time when as a pimp, I'm going to strut, right?
Yes.
So I've got that cane, and I'm going, and I get to the steps, go one step, 2 steps, and the damn cane got stuck in the step, and I pulled it, and so step, pull, and it doesn't come out, and so I left it. So what big Rob had was a cane doing this. I'm brought inside. I didn't know what else to do. So there were funny moments that probably didn't make the cut. It was such a wonderful adventure because there were so many talented people. All the actors, Bill, Sid, Forsythe, Sherry, all of them were just great. Even the supporting cast, they were good people.
Deborah Valkenburg.
Valkenburg, A.J. Daly, Priscilla Barnes, on down the line, everybody was really good, great story. And if you mix that with anything that might happen in between shots or during the shot, it doesn't quite work. But there will always here, this is great. We were having that party scene, right? Where we're all dancing and Devil's Rejects. And so we're dancing, Bill, me, Sid, a couple couple others in there, Sherry, E.G. Daly, Judah people, we're really dancing and smoking, acting crazy, and the scene's going really well. All of a sudden, we look up, and Rob and the crew are dancing with us. What's behind camera? What are we doing here? And I said, "Do we keep dancing?" And so it kept turning into a party, and I don't think we stopped for a while.
Right.
So it was, there were things like that that happened that made the job of acting in a film, of working with your character, of being in the scene, working the scene with other actors. In between that, there was some comical, wonderful, creative things that were happening that just made you die laughing, or at least it broke the, if there was any tension, if there's anything, that's why I thought it was just a perfect place to come back and work. I love working for the NW projects. It was just that, if the atmosphere, the tone that Rob said, it was, I don't think Rob, he had a free hand with this one as opposed to the others, where he had a studio that was on his back, or watching over his shoulder constantly and giving him hell. He had Devil's Rejects. He had a free hand to do what he wanted, and I think that Melmore decided to do what we were doing, and what we were doing, and they just began to grow and grow, and we kind of it attached itself to us, and we started to have a great time with it. In between our shots, I think it even made working the scenes even better. I'm sure that Forsythe and Leslie Eastwood had a ball and could not have put in those performances, without a certain atmosphere, or a certain tone that was set by the director and by the ease of working on that set. It's part of the process. You go to some films, and it's very difficult, and you have to work around people, work around issues or drama. You didn't have this. You didn't have any of that. It was like, let's go, let's do it again, let's do this, let's do that. We're having a great time. Let's look at that, laugh at that. Let's go. It was constantly, a joy to work on. It was absolute joy for me. Now, I don't know. For me.
No, it's one of those movies, and it's a very rare movie. We've both done lots and lots of movies over the years, and the movie is a very fragile creature. You can look at the script and go, man, the script is fantastic, and then you show up and you're actually acting with somebody, and things aren't really as, the scenario isn't as nice, and the actors aren't quite working, or, and even if you get past that part, where everything goes great, you get some great shots, and everybody's getting along, then you get into post-production, and you can screw something up 1,000 different ways in post-production, because you can edit and use, there might be 3 different takes of a scene, and you remember fondly one take, and they use the other take, or maybe the music doesn't work, or the editing, or maybe they cut out certain scenes because they're retelling the story in the editing booth, and so many things can go wrong. And it's the rare movie where all of the elements come together. And I would say Devil's Rejects is one of those rare movies where it all works. The music was fantastic, the editing was great, the story was great, the acting was great, costumes, everything was just awesome. And and sometimes you wistfully chase that. You kind of, for me, hope springs eternal. So every new job I'm doing, I've got that optimism, which sometimes
we all do.
Yeah, we all do.
This is gonna be great. Gee, I read the script and it's this is such a great script, and this is gonna be either hit or something fun to work with, or we're gonna really be able to work as actors. We're gonna create and really get something that we can really be proud of. Yeah. Look around and
and then you go to the screening.
Say, what is that? What happened? Who edited
toward the end of Devil's Rejects, there's me, Sid, and Sherry in the car. You know, we've stopped, we look, and there's the Rugsville Sheriff's Department with all their rifles aimed at us. And it's that moment of like, you know, what do we do? But it wasn't even really what do we do, we're going for it. And in that moment, on the front seat of the car, there's a shotgun and 2 handguns. And, you know, we're stopped, and we all know what we're going to do. And I remember the first thing I do is hand Sherry one of the pistols. And then it comes down to, here's Sid in the back seat, and here's me, and we've been competing, you know, kind of at each other the whole movie. And so the question is, who gets the shotgun? You know, who gets, like, you know, the macho gun instead of the little, you know, revolver. And I remember I had that moment, and not in the script, but in that moment I look back and I'm looking at Sid all beat up, and, you know, there's still that kind of, you know, the competitive thing. And I just, in that moment, I just thought, you know, I love this guy. And I remember just making an emotional choice of just, you know, handing him the shotgun, you know, just because out of love for the guy, not really there was nothing in the script about it. And I remember as I handed it to him, I remember locking eyes with Sid and just having that moment of him understanding what that was about, and giving him the shotgun, and then picking up the revolver, and, you know, gunning that car, and off we went. And it was one of those moments where, you know, not all the time does the audience get to see that. You miss that. But you know, there are those magic moments for us, you know, and when we're actually in the story. And really, you know, and nobody can screw that up, because those are those magic moments. And that's really that's the magic moment about being an actor, I would say. I mean, those are those moments where you just go, you know, you look back and go, man, this is
and you hope it gets on the screen, you know, they don't screw it up. They capture it, and they're seeing the same thing that you're seeing, and they go to the director, and then the editor, and then the students in the studios, and the producers, you know, they see the same things, and they're gonna let that, you know, take that moment and give it what it should, you know, give it the exposure it should. You know, you want to tell them that I'm still alive?
Yes, I was going to bring that up. We had I don't know if you all have seen it, not again, this is a spoiler alert, but toward the end of the movie, William Forsythe, Sheriff Wydell, does hit Charlie, or Ken, with in the heart with an axe.
Shoulder.
All right, and you know, it looks like it's going right into his heart, and he presumably dies.
Yes.
But then, you know, after the fact, Ken has argued, this has gone on for 20 years, that he actually just got it in the shoulder, and that he is alive and therefore ready for a sequel.
And so it's been a constant.
Hope springs
Ever
eternal.
since we stopped shooting. I'm alive. I felt the
axe in the heart.
You saw the axe come down, you don't know where it hit me behind the car. Hit me in the shoulder. You saw that. I said, I'm alive. So we can reshoot this. And we're stuck with that film with Charlie, you know. You know, free picks Charlie. And you have no idea how they scorched my ass. Let me tell you, you're dead, and you're never coming back. Shut up, you're dead, and this is every time I mention it. So we could be in the panel, we could be somewhere else, you're dead for it, you know. So
But then he springs up in Halloween, he springs up in Big Joe Grizzly, he springs up in 31. Were you in 31? No, which is Lords of Flat.
I lived through that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was you know, I guess that was part of some of that humor that we carried from the film, but not just carried, you know, afterwards. We did a lot of press, we did a lot of panels, a lot of conventions and festivals. So we did, and I would mention that at every one of them. And they would say, "You're dead."
I was at a convention. It was in fact that convention in England, and there's Ken and his booth at a convention, and there's a poster behind him, and it's a poster of me sitting sharing. It's the iconic poster. The three of us are walking down the road, and it's like it's an iconic image. And there is this new poster, and it's got a picture of Ken. In the foreground, and the three of us are just gray silhouettes. And I went, where did that come from, man? And he goes, oh, I had it made. Dude!
Listen.
It was
I got it, but I didn't do that. I had a guy, tell the truth, I told these guys, they never believed me. I had a guy, and he said, I could do something with that poster. I said, oh, you can put us all of us in there, me too? And said, yeah, I'll do that. I said, okay, let's see it. So when he gave it to me, I was already in England or had gone, he shipped it to me or something, and it was this poster that had me in it. I said, this is not, I can't do this. And so that's what I had.
I think you had 100 copies.
They sent me 100 copies. I didn't prove it. I trusted the guy. Just bad rules. So I try to tell them, and they never believe me, and so I've had to live with that for 20 years now. Foree, sticking himself in the post and blocking us out.
No, we still don't believe it. I think I applaud your.
He's still. I'm going to live.
Bold
They'll
retelling.
never believe that I didn't want that to happen. But anyway.
And it reminds me because I think it's certainly here at Days of the Dead, Las Vegas, and other conventions. When I would used to sit next to Sid, and inevitably someone would come up and go, "Is there going to be a sequel to Devil's Rejects?" And I'd go, "Hey Sid," he'd go, "What?" And I'd say, "Is there going to be a sequel to Devil's Rejects?" And he'd go, "Nope." I'd say, "How come?" And we would count to 3, and in unison we'd say, "Because we're fucking dead!" And because at the end of the movie, we all got shot by rifles, 100 times.
And then 3 from hell.
And somehow we managed to survive. Miraculously.
Yes.
A fuselage. And I keep, people keep saying, how do you explain that? I say, well, the Ruxville Sheriff Department can't shoot straight. But somehow we managed to survive it. And actually, it was a good thing because I had thought that because we're the Devil's Rejects, that we would have died and gone to hell and been so bad that the devil said, get out of here and send us back to Earth. But
That makes a lot of sense.
I thought, well, what the heck? But I think the way that Rob did it was basically we miraculously survived. Because I think if we had been sent back to Earth, then we would be supernatural. And that throws the whole thing into a different genre. But the fact that we survived, that's stretching it. But that also makes us human still. So, that made more sense. And
What do you think, Will? Would you like it from him?
I think we need the 4 horsemen to bring you that.
Pull that axe out of his chest. Meet the man.
This is Bill here. I just want to know about that leading role in Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, the Johnny role?
How'd you feel when you got that call?
What did he say, leading role?
Yes.
Leading role?
Really? Johnny wasn't really killed, by the way. I got
That's all one bite.
and then I came back and killed all the zombies. Actually, I'd rather hear, I enjoyed it. I got the job through Tom City, and he came with Splatter, who's in the other room, probably listening to us through the wall there.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course I met Tom. He was the special effects makeup man on Chainsaw 2. Did all the chop top makeup, just amazing guy. And he got the job from George Romero to direct the remake, color remake of Night of the Living Dead. And he sent me a script. This was back in the days before internet, so actually the script came in the mail. And he said, go ahead and read the script and pick any part. And so I, being an actor, I picked the part of the guy in the basement who was played by Tommy Tolles, like the bad guy, because it had more pages and therefore more time, therefore more money. And so I said to Tom, I want to play Harry or whatever the guy's name was. And he said, pick any character, just make sure it's Johnny. Because I knew that was like, maybe a week. And but anyway, and of course Russ Streiner, the great Russ Streiner, who created Johnny in the original Night of the Living Dead, did that wonderful "They're coming to get you, Barbara," and so I wanted to make sure that I had that down. So I rented this old Boris Karloff movie called Die Monster Die, and that was back in the days of VHS. So I kept playing it and studying his accent, so I was able to finally go, "I'm coming to get you, Barbara." And we had a long scene from the car to our mother's grave in the cemetery. And there was I said they're coming to get you right at the beginning of the scene. So we had a long walk, so I ad-libbed, I improvised a line. They'll hold you, Barbara. They've been dead a long time. Just to tease Patty Tallman. And, they liked that, so they loved that. But I had a great time doing it. I love working with Tom. I still can't believe that Tom isn't directing more things, but I thought he did a fantastic job. But again, it pales in comparison to
What?
your movie, man.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I knew Dwayne Jones.
Yeah.
We were friends. I knew him before the film and then when he shot the film. And so I was lucky, following his footsteps. That was a great role. He was perfect for it. Did a wonderful job. And I was happy to see that you were in. And then Tony Todd as well. And Tony.
Yeah.
I didn't know who played the guy who basically
Tommy Tolles.
Tommy Tolles.
Tommy Tolles.
Tommy.
Yeah, he's dead.
Or is he?
Or is he? Yes.
Where is he?
Yeah, Sheriff. Tommy was in, of course, House of Thousand Corpses, and then he, comes back as kind of a ghost brother of Sheriff White.
Sheriff White.
Tommy Tolles.
And did you like William Forsythe and Elvis and Double Street Jackson as Elvis?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Fascination.
So good.
And that was outrageous. And Leslie Eastern ate it up.
Yeah.
Loved it.
So talented.
So talented. Those Bill Moseley, Sid Haig, James Army, and then you go there. Then you come to Leslie. No, I'm dead.
Oh, he's ready to hear from you.
I'm joking.
There's videos.
I won't leave that now.
You're going to see this on YouTube.
But Leslie Easterbrook, Forsythe, even
Paul Goddard.
the small roles like Danny Trejo,
Yeah.
Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah.
There were small little cameo roles, but everyone. It was a marvelous magic moment in our lives, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. That one, Double Street Jacks, and we enjoyed being part of it. It was just that wonderful. So believe it from my heart, it was something special. And you see it on the screen. You see it on the screen. There's not a moment in that film that's not exciting or compelling in some way. It doesn't touch you in some way.
And remember, it was shot by Phil Parmet, and Phil Parmet was a documentary filmmaker. He did Macon County Line, I think he also. He did some really cool stuff, and Rob liked him because, of course, they picked out the gritty film stock, and Phil Parmet was really really captured it so beautifully.
Good to
Yeah.
Great to
I mean, that is, again, that's the lucky part. You've got the cinematography, the soundtrack, the acting, the dialogue, the story, the costumes, you know, just about everything.
And those guys said,
And the catering.
those guys said to a man, said, when I talked to the guys and I said, if I had a project, you know, I couldn't afford you guys, you know, because you're so good, you know, you guys, because they were all working for either Lionsgate or something, came from major production house. I said, you know, come on. He said, no, call us. Sometimes we're not doing anything, we just like to do something to do it. Call us. If it's good, we'd like to be involved with it.
I wish I'd done that. Yeah, that was
Well, told me.
20 fucking years ago. I think they're still by the fun.
Listen, you got a project, I'll call.
All right.
For me.
All right, that's good.
And what you were saying about your supporting cast in that movie is what I really love about the Rob Zombie movie is just either whether you like the movie or don't like the movie, all the actors are fantastic and he seems to develop this truth that he uses over and over again. You both are examples. E.G. Daly's an example. Danny Trejo, all those people you mentioned are part of the Rob Zombie troupe. And they're all stellar performers. And even if they just come in for a minute and a half, right? It's still a beautiful.
Who was the woman who got run over by the truck in the
Oh.
Kate
Norby.
Greg Norby, excellent actress as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
came in and took that role.
Excellent
Just
scene.
been an
Lou
excellent
Temple.
scene.
Lou Temple.
Lou Temple as well.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Lewis.
Jeffrey Lewis, my God. And just
It's just too hard. It's too hard to go through them all star cast and Devil's Rejects. But like I said,
Casting
all
was
the zombies
magnificent.
films.
Yep.
yeah.
It's just fantastic. So that's one thing that I really like about watching his movies is I know I'm going to have a good time. And at least I'm going to enjoy the acting, if nothing else.
Yes.
Right?
You're gonna be touched one way or another.
All right, we have about 5 minutes, so I wanted to wrap it up with one more rapid question for you guys, okay? Now, on our podcast, when we cover a movie, we always have segments. My favorite segment is Epic Line, where we pick our favorite line from the movie we're talking about, and sometimes we can't pick one, all the time we can't pick one, and normally it's going to be 3 or 4 or 10 lines that we mentioned and love. What is your guys' epic line from Devil's Rejects? It doesn't have to be your own. Favorite line in the movie?
I don't mind for Charlie.
Good.
Gotta hustle that pussy, baby.
Oh God.
I'm sorry.
Oh no.
No?
That's it. Oh Jesus. I don't. Because
Look at him.
so many
That's his
bad.
favorite line, too.
Well, I thought one would be that I said would be remember but it's not.
Which one was that?
Business is business, baby.
Yes.
I thought that would be just a line that would resonate with people. Remember, but it's not the one. They remember it, but it's the one they really want to talk about is the your nose is like as big as a shovel or something, but that something like the cocaine going in. Your nose is like a vacuum cleaner. You know what else said that? Yeah, I bet somebody asked that question. I would imagine that the line that I remember most is probably, as I said, William Forsythe's, you know, about Elvis. You talking about the king? Then you talking about
It's a monologue.
the whole monologue was just great. I remember that. So that was.
You say another derogatory word about Elvis Aaron
Ah, Elvis Aaron Presley.
I have only seen the movie a few times.
What would you?
Well, the one I'd like to sign is, I am the devil, I'm here to do the devil's work. But the one I was asked to sign earlier today, thank you, was, boy, next words out of your mouth better be some really fucking